शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यां मलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् पराम् अम्बिकाम्। ॐ ध्यायेन्नित्यं महेशं रजतगिरिनिभं चारुचन्द्रावतंसं रत्नाकल्पोज्ज्वलाङ्गं परशुमृगवराभीतिहस्तं प्रसन्नं पद्मासीनं समन्तात् स्तुतममरगणैः व्याघ्रकृत्तिं वसानं विश्वाद्यं विश्वबीजं निखिलभयहरं पञ्चवक्त्रं त्रिनेत्रम्। ॐ नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्।
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किं कुर्वत सञ्जय। श्रीभगवान् उवाच क्लैब्यं मास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वयुपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्तोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। अर्जुन उवाच किं तद्ब्रह्म किमध्यात्मं किं कर्म पुरुषोत्तम अधिभूतं च किं प्रोक्तम् अधिदैवं किमुच्यते। श्री भगवान् उवाच अक्षरं ब्रह्म परमं स्वभावोऽध्यात्म उच्यते भूतभावोद्भवकरो विसर्गः कर्म संज्ञितः। अर्जुन उवाच अधियज्ञः कथं कोत्र देहेऽस्मिन् मधुसूदन प्रयाणकाले च कथं ज्ञेयोऽसि नियतात्मभिः। श्री भगवान् उवाच अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः पुरुषश्चाधिदैवतम् अधियज्ञोऽहमेवात्र देहे देहभृतां वर अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः। यं यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवेति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भावभावितः अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थानुचिन्तयन् प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषमेपेति दिव्यम् सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोवृत्ति निरुध्य च मूर्ध्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधार्मणम् धारणम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहारान्मामुनस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतं नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः अग्निर्ज्योतिरः शुक्लः षण्मासा उत्तरायणं तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्म ब्रह्मविदो जनाः धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनं तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिः योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गते ये ते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकया यात्यनावृत्तिम् अन्यया वर्तते पुनः नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन् योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपःसु चैव दानेषु यत् पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम् अत्येति तत्सर्वमिदं विदित्वा योगी परं स्थानमुपेति चाद्यम्
Very nice. Thank you, Pranav. It's enjoyable. So I'll have to retrieve my text. I left it upstairs. Sorry, just a moment. Achha. So we were to start Dashamodhyay. And last time we talked about Navamodhyay. And I think a lot of discussion was on verse 932. Mam hi partha vyapashritya, etc. iti. And I thought I will give some context there. Might be useful because it's an interesting verse. So first I will give you a parable, a story. And from that story, you have to reflect and try to see if there is a connection we can make, okay? So once upon a time, let's assume that this is a dream story. So let us say you are all walking in the mall and enjoying a nice time together, shopping, having a cup of tea, and you wander into a store, all of you. So you're included in the story. You're participating in the story. Unfortunately, this Kali Yuga that we live in, some 3 robbers enter the store. And the robbers have weapons which can threaten your life, guns. And they say, all of you have to immediately, put your hands up. And 2 of the robbers go around and they're going to blindfold you and take you hostage, right? You've seen this. Unfortunately, we know it very well. So they take you hostage. Okay. And this blindfolding process, they have two blindfolds. One blindfold is red in color, one blindfold is blue in color. And they tie the blindfolds on you. It so turns out that the red blindfold has a single knot and the blue blindfold has more than one knot, a little more difficult to unravel. Okay. They tie these blindfolds on. So now, can you see? You cannot see. You can't see through the blindfolds. Then there is a negotiator on the police side. The kidnappers make their demands. Negotiator on the police side somehow convinces these hostage takers to come to an agreement, but tricks them and they are overpowered. Okay. And you've been sitting with this blindfold now for quite some time. This doesn't happen immediately. So you're now very used to the dark only. You cannot see, right? Huh? You know that if you're not exposed to light for a long time, if you suddenly open the eyes, there will be, you cannot take it. If you've gone out in the sunlight on a very sunny day, on a snowy day with a lot of snow, it's blinding to the eyes, right? Okay. So the negotiator comes into the room, first person to see the hostages, and he says, we have to remove these blindfolds slowly, right? And the red blindfolds are easier to remove. So we will start by trying to remove them, and then maybe they can then assist the ones who have the blue blindfolds. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Now, but the person, some people don't want to let go of the blindfold. They say, no, 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 we don't want to leave this blindfold. I like this blindfold very much. I'm a red blindfold. I don't let go of this red blindfold. Another one says, I'm a blue blindfold. I don't want to let go of this blue blindfold. No, no, no. I don't want to see the light. I want the blindfold. It's very comfortable in here. The light is blinding. It's going to cause me pain. I don't want to see the light. I want to hold on to this blindfold. I am this blindfold. Okay, now do you see what I'm saying? Okay. I'll give you another thing. Chapter 2. Bhagavan said in chapter 2 itself, 243, Bhagavan said, Kamatmanah Svargapara Janma Karma Phalapradam Kriya Vishesha Bahuphalam Bhogaishwarya Gatim Prati. Kamatmanah, full of desires. Svargapara, having heaven as their goal. Janma Karma Phalapradam, the which promises birth as reward for one's actions. Kriya Vishesha Bahulam, and prescribe various specific actions for the attainment of Bhoga Aishwarya, pleasure and power. Correct? So, who is Bhagavan condemning here?
Those who have a lower aim, those who are just uh, wanting to go to the Swargalok alone.
Right. So, all basically all followers of the Karma Kand, right?
And I think more Rajasic character, people with more Rajasic character.
Yeah.
The blindfolds.
Now, yeah. So, should all those people then revolt against the Bhagavad Gita? Would it make sense for them to? No, right? There are many people who perform karma kanda. They have not all taken the Bhagavad Gita and discarded it, right? So there is an understanding that the karma kanda has a place, and Bhagavan is asking us to rise beyond that, right? Correct. Now let's go back to the parable. So, what is your interpretation of the parable? What is the parable trying to tell you? What are the blindfolds? What are the blindfolds with respect to verse 9 through 32. Mam hi partha vyapashritya yoepi syuk papa yonayah. Sriyo vaishyas tatha shudras tepi yanti param gatim. And then kim punar brahmanaha punya. What are the blindfolds here?
Who don't want to see the real light?
Our gender itself is a blindfold.
Right.
If I say I am a man or I am a woman, that's an obstacle. Right? Did Bhagavan say I am a man? No, he did not say I am a man. He did not say I am a woman either. Right? Now, these characteristics rightfully through yoga and Ayurveda are associated with Ida and Pingala. But are they the most important nadis? Which is more important than Ida and Pingala?
Sushumna.
Sushumna.
Arising there, is there going to be then identification of gender? Right? So this is important to reflect, because the last time I mentioned, I said, various things about how situation is in Kali Yuga. But on the flip side, it would be incomplete to not go to the other direction and say that if one performs the austerities that Bhagavan enjoins, this statement is accurate also. This statement is accurate in a certain time and a certain frame of mind. Right? It is attainable, this state of mind in which one can make that statement. This is important. Right? It's difficult. As long as you hang on to the blindfold, it's very hard to accept it. The moment you let go of the blindfold, the truth becomes clear. What he's saying is not true, not untrue. This is Bhagavan speaking. In his time and his place, what he has said is true. But it's very hard to accept that, as long as one is clinging to that distinction. Right? If I say, I'm a very pious Brahmin who performs all the Vedic karmas and yajnas, I should get upset at 2:43. Right? Correct? Because he has said, full of desires, having heaven as their goal, etc., etc. Right? You have to let go of that. If you assume that identity, you have that identity. If you don't assume the identity, you don't have the identity. Who asked you to assume the identity? Nobody. It's the power of the Lord itself. It is the Maya. It is his Yoga Maya. Right? So when we transcend it, right, then these statements lose their sort of biting value. Right? So just to give you that when we read many things in the Gita, because it deals with various things, sometimes the mind loses that original sense that was there in the Upanishads. In the Mandukya Upanishad, in 12 verses, the truth is described, right? With no reference to gender, right? And Bhagavan is saying the same truth in the Gita also, right? So each person has to examine themselves and decide what identity has been ascribed to them by others and what identity they voluntarily take on. Right? See, you're thrown into a play, okay? And you're given a script, correct? if in that play I'm given in Shakespeare, there's always the wise man and the fool. If I'm given the script of the fool, I have to play the fool. Right? But if I play the fool very well, I'll get the Tony Award or whatever, right? If I try to play a wise man in the script, then I will not get the award. So, some we all have roles. Some of us, to some, we are children, and we will always be children. You will always be a child to your parents. Every time they see you, they will only tell you the same thing. Even after you're grown up to, many times the age at which it was appropriate, you will be told the same things. Right? Have you not noticed this? Right? If you have elder siblings, they will always tell you the same things as though you were frozen in time at the age of 5 and 7. Right? So these things we have to laugh at and say it's okay. Sometimes it's hard. It is definitely very hard, but this is the import, right? It is that part is also assigned to us to probably show us something, right? Reveal some aspect to us. So nevertheless, hopefully, after that we don't feel like somehow this is not directed or targeted, in any negative way, in my opinion. So onward to the yoga of God's manifested powers. सप्तमे अध्याये भगवतः तत्त्वं विभूतयश्च प्रकाशिताः नवमे च. In the 7th and 9th chapters, the truth of the Lord and his powers have been revealed. अथ इदानीं येषु येषु भावेषु चिन्त्यः भगवान् ते ते भावाः वक्तव्याः. तत्त्वं च भगवतः वक्तव्यम् उक्तमपि दुर्विज्ञेयत्वात् इत्यतः श्री भगवान् उवाच. Now these phenomena in which the Lord has to be contemplated are going to be set forth as revealed. The truth of God also, in view of its abstruseness, has to be restated, though it has been already affirmed. Therefore, the Lord said, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Oh, please, somebody read 1, if you will.
I can go.
Please.
भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया.
Very nice, yes. Once more, O hero, Bhuya eva mahabahu shrunu, listen, me, to my paramam vachah, supreme word, yat te aham priyamanaya, which seeking your own good, seeking your hitakamyaya, yat te aham vakshyami, that I will speak to you. And for what purpose will I speak to you? 1, because you delight in it, to delight you, and seeking your own good. Right? Once more, again, O hero, mighty armed, listen to my supreme word. Bhuyah iti, bhuya eva bhuyah punah mahabaho, shrunu me madiyam, my paramam prakrishtam nirati shaya vastunah prakashakam vachah vakyam, yat paramam te tubhyam priyamanaya. Madvachanat priyase tvam ativa amritamiva piban, as though you have drunk these nectar-like words. Tataha, therefore, vakshyami, I will speak to you, hitakamyaya, hita ichchaya, out of desire for your good. Kim artham aham vakshyami iti, ataha aha. Why should I speak? Okay, listen to that reply. Second one, please.
I can go. Name viduhu suragana prabhavam na maharsaya ahamadirhi devanam maharsinam cha savarsaha.
Right. Na me viduhu suragana. They know me not. Who? The hosts of gods. What do they not know? My prabhavam, my origin. Nor even the Maharishis, na Maharshaya. Aham Adir. He, verily, I am, in all respects, I am the origin, Adi, of the gods themselves, Devanam. Maharshinam cha Sarvashaha, and all the great seers. So this is because the Lord, having transcended the lokas of Swarloka, Mahajana Tapaloka, right, has established himself through these words as that Paramatma, the self of all. So speaking from that vantage point, he can say that I am indeed the origin of even the gods of the senses, even the Maharishis. And therefore, they do not know me in my true sense and they do not know my origin. For I am the origin, the cause of gods and great seers in all respects. Sarva Prakari, Kincha. So, third one, please.
Go ahead, Archit sir.
Nadim cha, sorry. Yomamajam anadim cha Veti loka maheshwaram asammudha samarteshu sarva papaihi pramuchyate.
Yaha, whoso, mam, ajam, anadim, who knows me as unborn and beginningless, cha veti loka maheshwaram, and as the great Lord of all the worlds, asammudhaha, he is undeluded, saha, martyeshu, from all, and sarva papaihi, he is released from all sins. Samartyeshu asammudaha is undeluded among men. Pramuchyate, and he is released from all sins. Yahiti, yaha mam ajam anadim cha, yasmat aham adihi devanam maharshinam cha, na mama anyaha adihi vidyate. There is no other origin to me myself. I have no origin. Ataha aham ajaha, so I am unborn, beginningless. Anaditvam ajatve hetuhu. The reason for my being unborn is that I have no beginning. So how is it possible? Only that which transcends time can have no beginning. Right? When the mind is brought to rest, then it resides in the state that is beyond time. How do we reckon time itself? Time requires a change, right? I believe that currently I bought my daughter a book on relativity explained to common man or something like that by a very famous author called Martin Gardner. He's a very interesting author. And in that very fascinating book, so how do we, so I believe currently time in the SI system is reckoned as the emission of a cesium isotope, if I'm not mistaken. I wish I had the book with me, but you can look it up. The second is reckoned based on that emission characteristic of the cesium isotope. Okay, maybe somebody will be able to confirm that. So that means that cesium isotope has to do something, right? Unless if there's no change, how will time be reckoned? Think of that. If you had a state in which there is no change, how will you reckon time? Right. So what do we take as in our life, in a human life, what do we take as unchanging?
Body,
Human life, we take everything as changing.
As changing?
the body, mind. Yeah.
How about the sun? On the time scale of a human life, we don't expect the sun to collapse tomorrow, right? We don't think, will the sun become a black hole tomorrow? In our lifetime, no, right? We take it as relatively constant, right? But science tells us that in time, right, it will also change, right? It is undergoing some changes very slowly compared to our time scales, correct? Okay. So then this book had a very other interesting thing. H.G. Wells. So this guy is, do you know H.G. Wells? Who is he?
Yes, he's an author.
Science fiction, right?
Yes, science fiction. Yep.
Right. He wrote a book called The Time Machine. Now, you know, some of
Yes.
these authors, they made some very fantastic thought experiments. You have to give them credit, even in science fiction. In that, one scientist, what he does is he starts um, increases his heart rate and all the physiological activities. Think of this guy's imagination, okay? He's a scientist in a science fiction book. He increases the rate of all his physiological activities so that the rest of the world comes to a standstill around him. Okay. Very creative, right? What do yogis do? They reduce the rate of the physiological activities till everything else is moving around like in a flash for them, right? Okay. So this business of time travel to other worlds is a practical aspect of yoga philosophy. If you slow your breath down and you slow your physiological activities down through pranayam, you can ascend to the Pitralok. And then you will understand why they only need meals, offerings once a month. Right? You slow your clock down further, you can experience Sargalok, the realm of the beings whose time scales are even slower. Right? You slow your clock down further, then you will experience the realms of the Maharishis. Right? You slow your clock down even further. How slow can you make it go? Right? Finally, when the mind comes to that state where it doesn't move at all, right? How will you reckon time? How will you reckon time? You cannot. That is the state called Kala Vanchanam. Yogi cheats time, right? And from that standpoint is where Bhagavan is speaking. Right? So that is how he says, I am not born, right? There is no origin of me, right? And that very source of that intelligence is manifest in everything, right? More so in human beings, correct? Because we stand upright, our prana has the possibility to flow up the spine. Animals have to rest on all fours. It's difficult for them. right? For their pranas to flow up. But human beings have that special gift. And then, of course, having been um, given the great gift of birth in the Sanatana Dharma, having the Maharishis as guides, right? So it's definitely a door open for anyone who wants to walk through it, right? That's what Bhagavan is saying. That's what he means when he says, I'm there in all of you, right? And he also says, you are all in me, but I'm not contained in you, right? So by these various riddling words, he is drawing our attention to our true eternal nature, right? He's saying, don't hold on to these blindfolds, right? They are very, very attractive. There's no doubt about it, right? But even Plato said, you know what Plato said? He said, it's understandable if a child is afraid of the dark, not so for a grown man to be afraid of the light. Correct? Very beautiful words, right? So that philosophical bent and that crystal-like clarity has been there in all civilizations, right? Those words are also they strike a chord in us, right? And so we can take the benefit from all those things. And of course, here we are getting the distilled juice, which is why Bhagavan is saying, you are drinking it like nectar. That's why I'm giving it to you, right? Because if nobody comes and says this, how will we know? What do you think? So that is why it is such a great gift. So, and then he says, so therefore, even the smallest thing, right? If one acknowledges that there is such a form of consciousness, in Yoga Sutra, he's called Ishvara. He's a special type of Purusha, right? Untouched by karma. Same one, because there are not two, right? Referred to in one way there. And here Bhagavan is giving you in a more palatable spoken form with personalized instruction, right? Because we like to, after all, right? If an impersonal Akashvani comes and tells you, I am whatever, you may not believe it. But if he comes as Sri Krishna, with his beautiful countenance, pleasing manner, royal demeanor, then naturally wisdom, etc., people will be more inclined to believe him. So then he says this. So the one who acknowledges this, right, who knows me as unborn, beginningless, as the great Lord of all the worlds, is released from all sin. Sarva papahi pramuchyate. He is undeluded. He asammudha. Right? That's all. So completely within our volition is to let go of the blindfolds or hold on to the blindfolds. Bhagavan is saying, let go of them and know me as the one. Right? Acha. So here the commentary has some interesting things about Turiyam. Haha, beautiful. You see, our Bhagavan Shankaracharya's commentary will always bring in some fantastic, nice Advaitic connection. So, Lokam Maheshwaram, Lokanam Mahantam Ishwaram. And the great Lord of the worlds. And again, I told you in Yoga Sutra also this concept of Ishvara is introduced as important. And in brackets here it says, Turiyam Ajnana Tatkarya Varjitam. So we think of the three avasthas, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, and Turiya Avastha, the fourth, which although called the fourth is not a separate fourth, but it is that on which the three arise as if. Just as we see the same water as steam or liquid or ice, but that fundamental quantity is the same, H2O, right? Whether it appears as steam or it appears as liquid or it appears as ice. Similarly, whether you see it as Jagrat, Swapna or Sushupti, it is nothing but that fourth, designated as such just to show that recognizing the difference between the three is not knowing it in truth, right? Therefore, is designated Turiya. Another way, if you remember, we have talked about the Vishva Taijasa Pragya, and there again Turiya. So the fourth. So Bhagavan again says, and what is this characteristic? It is devoid of nescience and its effects. Ajnana Tatkarya Varjitam. And again, of course, even the definition of this called here Ajnana, Avidya in the Yoga Sutra. And what does Yoga Sutra say again? Anitya, Ashuchi, right? Dukkha, Anatmasu. So first one is Anitya. And so what he says is taking that which is transient to be eternal. In that transience, trying to see, taking that to be permanent. Right? So we started with this example that from the standpoint of the human life, some things appear to be permanent. Mountains also, in addition to the sun, right? Although mountains also erode very slowly, right? And glaciers are eroding even faster now because of anthropogenic activity. We can also speed it up apparently quite effectively. But again, so that in that, not seeing that Anitya, Ashuchi, Dukkha, Anatmasu, Nitya, Shuchi, Sukha, Atmakyatehe, Avidya. So therefore, that Ajnanam and its effects. He who knows me as such, as the great Lord of the worlds, the fourth or the transcendent, devoid of nescience and effect, is among mortals undeluded. For he has no more any delusions. Asammudha sammoha varjita saha martyeshu manushyeshu. So as the mortals. Sarva papaihi, sarvaihi papaihi mati purvam ati purva kritaihi. Consciously or unconsciously. Mati purva, amati purva kritaihi. He will be released. Mati purva, amati purva. Consciously or unconsciously. Kritaihi. Committed. So that's a very uplifting thought. Right? One day I was joking to Shivani about, I said the number of sins are as uncountable as the hairs on a mouse. Because she had watched this thing called Bal Ganesh. And in Bal Ganesh, what happens is a very funny incident where Nandi comes to Bal Ganesh. Bal Ganesh tells him, I'll give you a riddle. How many hairs are there on my mushak? And poor Nandi starts to count them one by one, and he loses count after a while. So I was telling her that if one were to, really try to take account of of the consequences of ignorance, they're too large. It's uncountable probably, right? And so this is the beauty of this verse, which is again, its nectar-like quality, is Bhagavan is saying this simple fact, if one knows, whoso knows me, is immediately released of all these. This is very heartening. And itasya aham maheshwara lokanam. Now here is another reason why I am the great Lord of all the world. So hopefully this is very uplifting for everyone, that such a simple point, first intellectually grasped, then striven to experience directly, is the word of the Lord. And so let us go on and see verse number 4.
बुद्धिर्ज्ञानम् असम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावो भयं च भयमेव च.
Thank you. Yes, very nice. Buddhihi, Jnanam, Asammoha, Kshama, Satyam, Damaha, Shamaha, Sukham, Dukkham, Bhavo Bhavo, Bhayam cha Abhayam eva cha. Let us read the next one also, Resi, if you will, because they go together.
जी. अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो अयशः भवन्ति भावभूतानां मत्त एव पृथिग्वधा.
Prithak Vidha, right?
पृथग्विधा.
So, those, Bhagavan has given a long list, like a laundry list, which continues on to the next one. And the next verse is Ahimsa, non-violence, Samata, equanimity, Tushtihi, contentment, Tapa, penance, Danam, charity, Yashaha, renown, Ayashaha, ill fame, Bhavanti, Bhava Bhutanam. These manifold states, Prithagvidaha, Matta eva, from me alone, these manifest, these in all, to all beings. From me alone, these manifold states accrue to all beings. In other words, in all beings, we see the following: Buddhihi, right? Buddhi is discriminative faculty of the mind, ability of the mind to objectively examine itself, right? It's property of the, it is a property of the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Within the human form, as one withdraws from the material through the energetic pranamaya, through the manomaya, mental sheath, it is the Vijnanamaya Kosha that enables a human being, A, to take decisive actions, B, after careful consideration, and B, in its sattvic form, enables one to consider those activities in an objective way, in almost like a third person. So when you look at it in a third person, you are rising above your ego. Correct? I am able to stand apart from myself and say, I went and I did this. Right? When one is sunk into the ego, you don't think in that sense. You're on the buddhi. Anyway, buddhi, jnanam. Jnanam is knowledge. Cognition. Sammoha, asammoha. Jnanam asammoha, non-delusion. Kshama, endurance. Satyam is truth. Damaha. Damaha is typically defined as Bahyendra Nigraha, the outgoing sense, control of the outgoing senses. Shamaha, Mano Nigraha is usually defined as control, tranquility of the mind. Sukham, Dukkham, pleasure and pain. Bhavo, Bhavo, being and non-being itself. Bhayam, Abhayam, fear and fearlessness. These are all opposites. And then Ahimsa, non-violence. Samata, equanimity. tushtihi, contentment, tapo, danam, yasho, asha. Again, opposites. So, what does the commentary say? Intelligence is the power of the inner sense to grasp ideas which are subtle, etc. Buddhi antakaranasya sukshmadi artha avabodhana samarthyam. Fair enough. Tadvantam buddhiman iti hi vadanti. He who has it is intelligent. Jnanam atma adi padarthanam avabodha. Knowledge is cognition of entities like the self. Asammoha prati utpanneshu bodhavyeshu viveka purvika pravrittihi. Discriminating, non-delusion is discriminating action as regards things that call for understanding. Endurance is mind's freedom from agitation when abused or belabored. Kshama akrishtasya taditasya cha avikrita chittata. Truthfulness consists in utterance aimed at informing another exactly of one's experience of things seen and heard. Satyam yatha drishtasya yatha shrutasya va atma anubhavasya parabuddhi sankrantaye tathaiva ucharyamana vak satyam uchyate. Damaha bahyendriya upashamaha. So that's correlates. Shamaha antakaranasya upashamaha. Fair enough. Mind control, very good. That helps when you have read Tattva Bodha, because they come there. Sukham akhladaha, dukkham santapaha. Pleasure is joy, pain is agony. Bhavaha udbhavaha. Being is birth, non-being is its opposite. Bhayam cha trasaha. Fear is trepidation. Abhayam eva cha tad abhavaha. And its absence is fearlessness. Ahimsa iti. Non-violence is non-infliction of injury on living beings. Ahimsa apida praninam. Samata samachittata. Equanimity is mind's steadiness. If you remember, this actually are the enumeration of the Shatka Sampattis almost. Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. Right? Samata is very close to this Samadhanam. Contentment, Tushtihi. Tushtihi also appears in our Yama Niyama in a different, slightly different form, where we say Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, and then Shaucha, Santosha. Right? Second niyama is Santosha. Tushti, Tapaha. So actually it is a combination of the Yama Niyamas and the Shatka Sampattis have been enumerated here. Some selection combined. Because Shaucha, Santosha, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhanam. So Tapa has come. Danam, charity, distribution of wealth, etc. according to capacity. Danam, Yatha Shakti, Samvibhagaha. Yashaha, Dharma Nimitta Kirtihi. Renown is fame due to righteousness. Probably a lot of people who are considered famous today will not qualify for this. Ill fame is disrepute due to unrighteousness. It's very interesting because how carefully they have thought this through. Right? He didn't just say fame. Even in those times, being aware of this point. Ayashaha tu adharma nimitta akirtihi. So it is ill fame is disrepute due to unrighteousness. Nowadays, we have people being defamed for being upright and getting fame for being adharmic. Viparita yogam. Everything is upside down. A righteous man must feel like a bat in Kali Yuga. So, भवन्ति भावाः यथोक्ताः बुद्ध्यादयः भूतानां प्राणिनां मत्तः एव ईश्वरात् पृथग्विधाः नानाविधाः स्वकर्म अनुरूपेण. The said states, intelligence, etc., accrue to living beings from me, the Lord, alone in manifold ways according to their deeds. Right? So, right now, the gift of past karmas, good ones, punya karmas, is the birth in the Sanatana Dharma tradition and the buddhi attraction to read the Bhagavad Gita. Right? Even this is the gift of the Lord as Phaladata. Very well. Then what does Bhagavan say? Who would like to read number 6?
Shankar Mama, I can read.
Please, that would be lovely. Hi, Chetas.
Maharshaya Sapta Purve Chatvaro Manavastata Madbhava Manasa Jata Yesham Loka Ima Praja.
Very good. Maharshaya Sapta, the 7 great rishis, Bhrigu, etc. Maharshaya Sapta Bhrigvadayah. And in our Sandhyavadanam we say Atri Bhriga Kutsa Vasishtha Gautama Kashyapa Angirasa Risha, right? See the power of doing Sandhyavadanam for how many months now you remember, right? So 7 great seers, Chatvaro Manavastatha, and the Manus. The first 4, the 7 great seers, the first 4, and the Manus. Purve Chatvaro. So these are the Manasaputras. Remember? They are somehow recounted slightly differently, but Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Sujata, and there are some different variations, but these are the 4 Manasaputras of Brahma. In different traditions, they are recounted slightly differently. And they were the ones who would not create. So, Purve Chatvara, Manavastatha, and then the Manus. So, 14 Manus, right? So, we are currently in the Vaivasvata Manvantare. We are in the time of the Manu Vivaswan. Right? There are 14 such. Endowed with my powers, Madbhava, Banasa Jata, they are born of my mind. They are mind born. Yesham Loka Ima Prajaha. And these beings are their progeny. So, Maharshaya Iti, the 7 great seers, Sapta Bhrigvadeha, Purve Atita Kala Sambandhinaha, Chatvaraha Manavaha, Tatha Savarna Iti Prasiddhaha. The first 4 and Manus are all famed as belonging to bygone ages and famed as Savarnas. Their meditations had reference to me. Techa Madbhavaha, Mad Gata Bhavanaha, Vaishnavena Samarthyena Upetaha. They were endowed with the power of Vishnu. Manasaha Manasaiva Utpaditaha Maya Jataha Utpannaha. They were all generated mentally by me. Yesham Manunam Maharshinam cha Srishtihi. The creatures in this world, Jaha, Srishti, Loke Imaha, Sthavara Jangama Lakshanaha Prajaha. The ones that are moving and non-moving. They are the progeny of these Manus and those great seers. So, for instance, you know Kashyapa Rishi, he had 2 wives, right? Diti and Aditi. From them was born Aditya, the sun, right? So, in this way, and then from the Manus, of course, were born the human beings. So, in this way, what Bhagavan is establishing, is that they all have their source in him, right? Very good. So let us maybe just conclude with 7, because it's a nice place to stop and it gives a conclusion to this. Who would like to read verse 7?
I can. एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशय.
Very good. Etam vibhutim, this vast power. Whoso knows this vast power, vibhutim, yogam and yoga of mind, who knows truly, yoveti tattvataha. So avikampena yogena, with kampana is trembling. In the early stages of yogasanas, trembling results is well documented in Hatha Yoga. Avikampena, with the unshaking. Now this is of course mental unshaking, physical shaking, and then mental unshakability, right? In that sense that, so avikampena yogena, steady state of integration, yujyate na atra samshaya. There is no doubt in this. He is yoked, will be endowed with a steady state of integration. This vast power is indicated. Etam iti, etam yatoktam vibhutim vistaram yogam cha yuktim cha atmanah ghatanam. See 9.5. So what is 9? Oh, we were just the previous one. Nacha matsthani bhutani pashyame yogam aiswaram, my sovereign yoga. Bhuta brinnacha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. Or by yoga is meant omniscience and power due to the mastery of yogic attainments. Athava yogaishwarya samarthyam sarvajnatvam yogajam yogaha uchyate. Mama madiyam yogam yah vetti tatvatah tatvena yatha vadityet yathavat ityetat saha avikampena aprachalitena yogena samyak darshana sthairya lakshanena yujyate sambadhyate. Whoso knows this yoga of mind truly as it is or objectively will come in possession of a steady yoga consisting in unshakable right perception. Samyak darshana. Na atra samshaya, na asmin arthe samshaya asti. There is no doubt about this. So that is his Bhagavan is describing his vibhuti, his yoga in the first 7, and then concluding also in this midpoint the benefit of this knowledge, right? Along the way, when one is practicing, many doubts can arise, right? And by giving these words of assurance that indeed one is on the right path, he is giving everyone a strength and uplifting words so that faith is restored in sort of the in the agamas, shruti and smriti. Right? Achha, any comments or questions on what we discussed today?
Dr. Sankar, I have maybe technical question. I was confused. So in the verse 6, right, we say 7 great seers, right? First 4, and the monos were mind born. What about the last 3?
They're actually referring to different. So 7, I told you, is the Okay, there's a, the problem with this is the enumeration is slightly different, but nevertheless, Sandhya Vandanam, we say 7, we started with Atri Bhriga.
Bhrigu, Kutsa, Vasishtha.
The 4 refer to the other. I said Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Sujata, Sanat Kumar. I think there are 4. Again, the names slightly may change from one version to the next, but they are different. The first 4 were without any desire. Therefore, they did not create anything.
Okay.
And therefore, in frustration, Brahma created the next generation, endowed with desire sufficient for creation. You know, in the Hanuman Chalisa, it comes Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisha. That is the 4 he is referring to.
Oh.
Sanaka, Adi. You remember this? Munisha, Narada, Sharada, right? See,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of some of these great verses we have. They quickly remind you of the connections.
And in that shloka, like Bhagavan is talking about Manu also, right? So
Huh.
Saptarishis, then Sanat Kumar's 4 Manas Putras, and then Manus, 14
Right.
Manus. Or
So technically, actually, we have these 14 Manus. Those days are called Manvadi days. If you look in the Panchang, there, like we have Yugadi, there is Manvadi. Every Yuga has a day on which that beginning of that Yuga is celebrated. It's called Yugadi. 4 such. Similarly, there are Manvadi days. And on those Yugadi and Manvadi days, we are supposed to actually do Pitru Tarpanam on those days also. So 14 Manus.
So Manu Bivatsavan, right? So this right now.
Yes, the current one.
Now, which one that is among 14 where we are? It goes in cycle or,
Yes. Actually, I'm not entirely sure of the sequence. So we'll have to look it up.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
I don't know the sequence either. I don't think we can see if it comes in the Mahasankalpam, but I'm not sure it comes in the Mahasankalpam. Probably not, right? But it probably is there in many of the Puranas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
And again, the only challenge is that sometimes there is not perfect agreement in the names between the Puranas also. So you may find some slight changes.
Dr. Sankar, I have a question about the this concept of beginningless or never being born.
Right.
I don't know if maybe it's beyond the mind, but that's something I don't know if we can really explain or not. What does it mean by when something is never which was never born or beginningless?
Hmm? Right. Hmm. I'll try to give you an analogy, but obviously it'll be limited, right? So consider consider a set A. Okay. B is a proper subset of A. So think of a Venn diagram, right? A and B. Okay. Then there's B complement, correct? B complement is what's not in B, right? Okay. Suppose I'm living in B and the extent of my knowledge is B, correct? I can indicate B complement only by negating B, right? Correct. But if I know A, then I can happily go between B and B complement, right? In some sense. This is kind of the challenge, right? So B is the transient world, knowledge of the transient, right? How can I indicate that which is unborn? Only by negating, right? So we know that everything that is born has an end, right? Right. And so that defines the transient. So while in B, how can I indicate B complement? By not B. Do you see what I'm trying to say? You following what I'm trying to say? From within B, we cannot know B complement, but we can only indicate it as not B, right? Did I make it more unclear?
Yeah, no, I got the part where you said we can only we cannot know, but we cannot know directly, but we can just know by negating. Is that
Right. And yet, by practice, as described, undoubtedly, um, it is within the realm of experience, right? And then the faith deepens that indeed, um, that actually there is no B or B complement. It's the same A appearing as B and appearing as B complement, right? So it's very nice because it will completely bend our mind about standard mathematical and logical concepts. Um, approach a beautiful singularity when you take up these topics.
all right? Thank you, Dr. Sankar.
Okay, Shankar, I have one question.
Sure.
Actually, I mean, it's very common and old question, but now in these verses, it again came back to my mind. So, what purpose does Bhagwan exactly have, like behind creating all these, or what is the purpose of Bhagwan? Like, I understand the purpose of living beings or humans can be to discover the truth.
Mhm.
But why did Bhagwan even created all these different different lokas and then to-do list for you to go and figure out? I mean, everything that we see. So what purpose Bhagwan has?
Racy was going to say something.
No, I was just when Archit said, "Why did Bhagwan create a to-do list?" So I was thinking that loud.
So, haven't many of you asked this Ati Prashna before, or at least more than one, right? So, a challenge to you is, and Archit, of course, I respect it. You know what I'm saying, right? It's a legitimate question, but I'm curious if you can recall what I told you before. I mean, I'll give you the the pat put down answer is, well, you have to ask Bhagavan that. I don't know. Yes or no, though? Quite honestly, right? Correct? I'm also getting better at my answers, you see. Well, what do you think? You must have some.
No guess.
Hmm?
No guess.
No guess.
Shall I take a bite?
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, that like you mentioned, Ati Prashna, that comes always, right?
Right.
Why, right? So that is a big question. How it probably would be easier. Why is always challenging. So yeah, based on what we have gone through many. So this is a power of Ishwara, right? Maya, to create project, and yeah, he can project and take back project. So that is his power. It's just like a power of Agni, fire to burn, right? Or fire to burn. So that's yeah.
Thank you. Why do we do things? Archit.
Sorry.
Why do we do anything? Before we ask Bhagavan this tough question, let's at least check for ourselves if we know why we do some things.
And mostly to get the results of our actions. Typically.
Actually, this is a very good test for you. Okay? Because the answer is in the previous verses covered in the Gita. Okay, I'm thinking of one specific verse, okay, which explains exactly why we do things. Why do we do things?
Dr. Shankar, are you thinking of the gunas?
Uh-huh. Very good. Which verse am I thinking of?
327.
Huh?
Is it 327?
How does it start? I don't know the numbers. What is the first word?
Prakriti Kriyamanani.
Fantastic. Excellent. Yes, you nailed it. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashah. Ahankara vimudhatma karta ahamiri manyate. Correct? So why do we do things? Impelled by the gunas. Okay? And what are the gunas? The power of Shakti, right? So what did Mahesh say? Same
Yeah.
thing. Right?
You also explained it one time ago when you said Brahman thought, let me be many.
Right.
Then
And that is given in the Shruti, correct? Indeed.
Dr. Sankar, so yeah, three gunas, right? Interplay of three gunas. So that three gunas interplay also created karmasaya, right? Then karmasaya, and then we doing some of the things driven by the karmasaya, right? What we have been stored there, right?
Those are the three robbers who caught us in the mall.
Yeah.
Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And blindfolded us. Remember?
Right.
So Archit, was that good for today?
Ji. Yeah.
But do ask him and tell me when you find out the answer.
जी धन्यवाद.
Uh,
Yeah, धन्यवाद.
hmm?
Yeah, thank you for your explanation.
Yeah, jolly. Very good. Acha, any other comments, questions? We're a little over time today. I'm sorry. So maybe we will conclude now and meet again in a week. So let's say Shanti Mantram and then we'll disperse. Om Tachamyora Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastunaham Swastirmanushebhyaham Urdhvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astu Dvipadehe Sham Chatushpade Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste everyone. Have a lovely weekend.